Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and we are here again for my reflections, my devotions, and this is January 11th, 2022, and today we're looking on Genesis 22, verse 2, and then verse 6 to verse 14. Another interesting passage of scripture in the Bible talks about God's friend. It really reminds me of this song, I am a friend of God. I'm glad that I wait until in the evening time to look on these devotions, because it's like at the end of the day, at the end of all the experiences, you just come now and you look in the Bible and it comes like a detox, and it gives you a kind of refresher, like a kind of, how you say, restart or reboot, reboot to your life. So then you go into bed, and then you get up in the morning ready to go. So Genesis 22 verse 2, and then from 6 to 13 also highlights verse 17. So starting on verse 2. Take your son, your only son, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains. So Abraham placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two of them walked on together, Isaac turned to Abraham and said, Father? Yes, my son, Abraham replied. We have the fire and the wood, his boy said, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? God will provide the sheep for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham answered, and they both walked on together. When they arrived at the place where God had told him to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. At that moment, the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy, the angel said. Do not hurt him in any way, for now I know that you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. Then Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horn in a thicket. So he took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Rambushan from the book, The Bible in 366 Days for Men. And you know what I say? Women, boys, and girls. He says in his reflections for today, Abraham was God's friend, as also repeated and reminded by Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 41 and verse 8. God tested Abraham and he did not fail him. God was so touched by Abraham's obedience and unwavering faith that he promised, I will certainly bless you. I will multiply your descendants beyond number. But what a way to do it. Because, when I was in Sunday school, when I was a young child, I heard this story about Abraham carrying his son up to the mountain to sacrifice him. And, if we put that in modern day times, we look at it, we would want to get Abraham arrested, because this would be like, sacrificing children, these ancestral things. People thought negatively about that in these times. Sacrificing children. Yet back in that time, it showed kind of like an extreme of how much Abraham trusted God and obeyed God and had faith in God, that even though he only had this one son, because remember Ishmael was not there again, and he had this one son, And God had promised him that his descendants will be numberless as the sands on the seashore. But yet, he was just a little boy. He didn't have no children yet. And he was about to kill the seed that, um, that would bring these descendants. Yet he was going to do it. The wife had doubted that she would have a son, yet she got the son. Now Abraham seemed to be on the other extreme, about to give away the son, because he was serious about following God. Well, he is known as God's friend, and just in the nick of time, it seemed almost like a movie story when I heard it in Sunday school, and it was a story that we never seem to be afraid about to hear. That he almost went to sacrifice his son because he loved God so much. That's why the Sunday school teachers and the preachers always focus on the fact that he loved God so much and obeyed God. That God then stopped him right at the point. Imagine the movie, just as he was at the point, stopping the boy, killing him, sacrificing him. The angel of the Lord said, "Now we know that you have passed the test. You have truly proved that you love God and worship Him." And then suddenly there is this sacrifice. The Lord will provide for the sacrifice. That's what Abraham said. That's what he told Isaac. And now you look here, you see the ram caught there, and that's what Abraham used to sacrifice. Now we hope that we don't ever get put to the test like that by God, having to sacrifice our children, because I don't know, we love them so much. I don't think any of us would want to be sacrificing our children. But this story, what does this story say to me? How much do I love God? There's a chorus of a song that said, "Oh, how I love Jesus because He first loved me." And it talks about God's love being unconditional. But how deep, there's a song that says, "How deep is your love?" I can't remember if it was the Bee Gees that used to sing this song. But God is asking me, how deep is your love? Because we can see that God's love is deep. We sing a song, God's love is as high as the heavens. God's love is as deep as the sea. God's love is as wide as the ocean. God's love is sufficient for me. In Sunday school, we often sing a song, God's love. It's so high you can't get over it. It's so low you can't get over it. It's so wide you can't get around it. God's wonderful love. Well, the question though, really, as I reflect for my own life is, but how deep is my love for God? That's what I had to think about tonight. How deep is my love for God? And how do I demonstrate it? I think my main way of showing it would be in my devotion to God. Spending time to where it's like how I decided to carve out this time, but it's not just because I'm doing this on YouTube, but even during the day, I have to be praying to God. I have to be thinking about passages in the Bible all day long. I do it so much now. Like, I think because you are in a position where you have to be leading people and serving people, is a test on your own character, on your own Christianity. And so you give out a lot to people, and so you got to get recharged by God, by tapping into the power of God. And you got to a lot of days is more than recharging. A lot of days I have to reboot my spiritual system. And so how deep is my love? But for God, well, through my worship, through my devotion, through my connection with Him. And sometimes when I pray to God, because I don't pray long prayers, and I hardly pray in public. Somehow I feel nervous with public prayer. But when I pray to God, all of my thoughts go in that prayer, and God knows exactly what I'm saying, even though I may only say 5 words, because you know what I was concentrating on and focusing on, and what these 5 words mean when I say to Him. So, how deep is my love? My devotion to Him, my worship, my service. But then also how I deal with other people. Every day I have to forgive people. Every day I have to tolerate uh, people, because everybody doesn't think like me. Everybody isn't like me, and I don't think like everybody. And your spirit doesn't always blend with other people's spirit, but you are dear to be together with them for a day, for an hour, 5 minutes, 1 minute, um, for a year. And therefore, my love for God is shown in how I react, cooperate with other people. So it's like at the Salvation Army motto is heart to God. How deep is my love? My worship, my connection, my relationship with God. And hand to man, how I interact with others. Some days I think to myself that I have not been good enough with people, depending on my mood at the moment, depending on how busy I am. Like maybe I could have said something more or done something more. You know, I think about that sometimes. Um, but God gives us a new chance every day to reach out and touch, impact the lives of other people. But also, He gives us every chance to worship Him. And I don't, I, I don't know if I'll get to that point like Abraham about to sacrifice my children, but I know I come to the point where I give up a lot of things um, in the service of God. And God is asking us, I think today, how deep, how deep is your love? And only you can answer for yourself, only I can answer for myself. But I challenge you to continue to work on the depth of your relationship with God. Blessings.